least one civilian was shot, 3 others were hospitalized, and 20 riot policemen were hurt. Tuesday's vote leaves Britain as the only member nation of the European community that has not approved the treaty. The political harmony of the Democratic Party is being rattled by some sour notes on Capitol Hill. Conservative Democrats don't like President Clinton's tax package, and Jim Miklaszewski reports they're not reluctant to say so.
After a 2-day road trip to sell his tax package to the public, President Clinton returned to the White House early this morning to a tax revolt led by some of his own Democrats. Moderate Democrats in both the House and Senate say Clinton's budget and tax plan needs a major makeover.
Without changes, I don't believe it can pass.
Specifically, some House Democrats want to cap spending on entitlements like Medicare and Medicaid. They say it's the only way to control runaway federal spending.
I think that we're going to run the risk that in spite of these taxes, the deficit will go up, and that's the worst outcome for all of us.
Vice President Al Gore warns entitlement caps would threaten the entire Clinton budget and health care reform.
We oppose it unequivocally and very strongly.
In the Senate, some Democrats want to kill Clinton's BTU energy tax, warning it may be the only way to pass Clinton's budget.
Which makes it more acceptable to a majority of Americans and therefore passed by the Senate.
Clinton aides say entitlement caps aren't enough and some energy tax is essential for deficit reduction, but acknowledge some serious compromise is needed to save the entire package. Jim Miklaszewski, NBC News, the White House.
A victory for the Spanish-speaking community in Florida's Dade County. Tuesday, the county commission voted unanimously to repeal the government's English-only ordinance. More than half of Dade County's residents speak Spanish. Incinerators that burn toxic waste are under fire. Tuesday, the government issued an 18-month moratorium on the construction of new incinerators and threatened to shut down existing ones. Scientists are worried about poisons in the ash and fumes left behind by the burning process. The state that took a pounding from the century's worst hurricane is taking another hit, this time from the good hands people. Allstate Insurance plans to cancel the policies of 300,000 homeowners in 18 Florida counties. Odzer reports.
The people at this public hearing are angry and frustrated. They are homeowners who hold Allstate insurance policies, homeowners who say just as they've begun recovering from Hurricane Andrew's devastation, Allstate, owned by Sears, is abandoning them.
Serve the people. Let's not serve these guys. And as far as I'm concerned, you can take Sears and everything else you've got and get it out of here. Because Florida looks real good in a rearview mirror for you. Thank you.
Thank you. We understand their frustration, but we have more potential loss in certain areas of South Florida than we can really absorb financially.
Allstate says Hurricane Andrew tore a $2.7 billion chunk from the company's assets. Leery of facing that sort of loss again, the Good Hands Insurance Company says it has no choice but to drop most of its South Florida policy holders. The customers it keeps will face a 50% rate hike.
If Allstate gets its way, 300,000 Floridians would lose their homeowners insurance over the next 2 years. But before that can happen, the state has to approve the Allstate plan. Odzer, NBC News, Plantation, Florida.
Gay Congressman Barney Frank has come up with a compromise on gays in the military. He's proposing that gays be allowed to do as they please off base if they stay in the closet while on duty. There's no indication yet on whether President Clinton will go along with Frank's proposal. An anti-gay rights measure has been approved by voters in Cornelius, Oregon. The new measure changes the city charter, preventing the city from passing anti-discrimination laws for gays. A similar anti-gay rights measure lost in a statewide election last fall. In nearby Washington State, high school students in a Seattle suburb vote on a hotly debated gay rights issue today. It's a proposal to ban gay students from student government. The story from Alan Schauffler.
At Bremerton High School, students have a lot more on their minds than just graduation and summer jobs. The debate over the proposed constitutional amendment effectively banning gays from holding elective office has raged on this campus for a week. It hasn't always been pleasant.
But we're just telling you what God says in the Bible and what we believe. Well,
I think Chris is right. But these students say it's no surprise the issue surfaced. Bremerton is a Navy town. Gays in the military, an emotional issue.
It's not really an issue where you can afford to take a middle-of-the-road position. You have to choose a side and you have to defend your position. And I think that's healthy and good.
School administrators and the district superintendent second that motion. They say the search for compromise is all part of the learning process.
We're training students to become citizens in a democratic society. In a democratic society, citizens participate.
That participation ends today when the entire student body votes on the issue. But they may not get the last word. The principal says if the amendment passes, she'll veto it. Alan Schauffler for NBC News, Bremerton, Washington.
Today, the Los Angeles City Council is scheduled to vote on an ordinance that would ban gang members from city parks and beaches. The proposal has already sparked heated debate. Police say it's unenforceable. The ACLU says it's unconstitutional, and some residents say it's racist. But other residents and merchants complain that the beaches and parks attract too many gang members. Time now for the financial news. On the Tokyo Exchange today, the Nikkei average closed higher. Stock prices opened on the downside in London, and in New York yesterday, the Dow Jones Industrials lost about 5.5 points. Looking ahead to today's market day, here's Tom Herman from the Wall Street Journal. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Ann.
What groups of stocks will be especially active today?
The tobacco stocks, especially Philip Morris, Ann. Philip Morris is down 3/8 of a point this morning in London to 50 1/4. That's on news that a competitor called Liggett is introducing a new low-price cigarette. Also, many investment advisors I talked to think the Clinton administration is going to really tax the tobacco industry hard to pay for its health care plan.
Other stocks to watch?
Gold and gold mining. They were by far the biggest winners yesterday on Wall Street. Gold shot up $8 an ounce, and this morning in London it's up again to $378 an ounce. That's the highest in over a year and a half.
Now, the Federal Reserve Board met yesterday. Can we expect them to raise interest rates anytime soon?
Probably not, Ann. No, the Federal Reserve is probably going to sit back and wait and see if this inflation scare is for real or just another in a long-running series of false alarms.
Thank you so much, Tom Herman.
Thank you,
this
Ann.
morning. Well, coming up on NBC News at Sunrise, Joe Witte's weather. The latest on the war in Bosnia. One U.S. official calls it the problem from hell. And in the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Canadiens double their pleasure.
Hey, anybody seen Jackson?
Yeah, he left for Seattle.
Seattle? What for?
You know, that project.
But the client changed the meeting. We gotta find him.
He's probably on the plane by now.
Look, I don't care. Get him.
Across all 50 states, Canada, and the Caribbean, nobody offers today's business traveler more ways to stay in touch than Mobilecom. When you travel, be sure you know. Mobilecom. 1-800-795-5555.
See this? It won't make you smarter. When it was decided how smart you'd be, your credit limit didn't matter. You can't buy intelligence, okay? Well, maybe you could. I mean, no card is more accepted on the planet than MasterCard. So you could buy books and computers and chemistry sets, and that could make you smarter. And Master Values discounts can save you up to 25% at thousands of stores. And if that's not buying intelligence, at least it's buying intelligently. So maybe a MasterCard could make you smarter. We ought to get you on a quiz show. MasterCard. It's more than a credit card. It's smart money.
We all work so hard today. That's why I treat myself to new Irish cream, amaretto, and hazelnut coffee mate. So many treats, so little time. New flavored coffee mate. Your coffee never had it so good.
Sara Lee, Sara Lee, Sara Lee, Sara Lee, Sara Lee.
Now you know why we call it pound cake. Introducing Sara Lee Chocolate Swirl.
Nobody doesn't like Sara Lee.
During President Clinton's road trip, he paid a visit to South Central Los Angeles and stopped by a playground for a little pickup basketball with Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and some local youths. The president missed his first two shots, but then 10 feet out, two points. In sports, the Knicks knocked off the Hornets last night, setting up a showdown with the defending champion Bulls.
New York ousted Charlotte 105-101, taking their series in 5 games. The Knicks will meet Chicago for the Eastern Conference title starting Sunday. In the Western semifinals, Charles Barkley scored 19 of his 36 points in the fourth quarter, sparking Phoenix past San Antonio 109-97. The Suns now lead that series 3-2, the same advantage Seattle holds over Houston. On the ice, Stephane Lebeau scored in the second overtime, giving Montreal a 4-3 win over the Islanders and a 2-0 lead in the series. In baseball, Fernando Valenzuela won his first major league game since 1990, pitching Baltimore past Cleveland 7-0. Detroit defeated Milwaukee. The Yankees beat Minnesota again. The White Sox ripped California. Texas edged Seattle. Kansas City slugged Oakland. Toronto and Boston were rained out. In a battle between the top two teams in the National League West, first-place San Francisco stopped Houston 7-2. The Giants lead the Astros by 3 games. The Dodgers slammed Cincinnati. Colorado snapped a 7-game losing streak. Philadelphia and Montreal won with shutouts. Pittsburgh beat the Mets again. The Cubs clubbed St. Louis.
And another basketball note, the Indiana Pacers have fired coach Bob Hill, and that's sports. There will be a few rained-out games along the East Coast, according to our Joe Witte. Good morning, Joe.
Yes, indeed. Another wet day for the East Coast, and probably 2 days of rain causing some rain delays. Notice the clouds building up along the East Coast, and that's going to be a very slow-moving front dragging its way to the Atlantic Ocean. Clouds sweeping over the Pacific Northwest coast will keep the western shores of Oregon and California and Washington a little wet and damp. Cloudy skies. We'll have a chance of some strong thunderstorms again for the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma and the southwestern corner, eastern corner rather, of Colorado, and some strong thunderstorms likely along the east coast section of the Carolinas, stretching up to Virginia, and an area of some light rain showers in the Corn Belt area. Sunshine for Louisiana, also the desert southwest, and it is indeed summertime, even though they're still playing hockey and basketball. Highs in southwestern California going up to above 100. Phoenix ought to top off at 101 degrees by this afternoon. That is the national weather. Now here's what's happening in your neighborhood. For Phoenix, Arizona, 101, 76 degrees in Los Angeles, 75 degrees in Denver, 56 degrees in Chicago, and we'll see Miami going up to 89 by this afternoon. Here in New York, a high of 68 rather damp degrees. And that's it.
All right, thanks a lot, Joe Witte. Next up on Sunrise, carrying concealed weapons, the controversial gun law in the Lone Star State.
How about Uncle Duke? Do we call him much?
No.
Thank you, Uncle Duke. Next. Thank you. Next.
It's tough finding people for one of those long-distance calling circles.
Next.
Hey, you don't need to do this, because the Most from Sprint makes things easier. The Most saves you up to 36% each month on whomever you call the most, automatically.
Hey! I'm your father!
There's a certain itch that's so private, most people will only discuss it with their doctor. Fortunately, you can get Anusol HC1 ointment over the counter with the same prescription strength doctors have prescribed most.
Congratulations! At 6 months, you're sitting up, eating solid foods. You've earned Carnation Follow-Up Formula. No formula's more nutritious. It's also priced up to 20% less. Carnation Follow-Up Formula, the right formula at the right time.
Here at Billingsley Ford Truck Center, we're making a world of difference in truck buying with our goal to sell every truck for at least $300 less than the competition for the same exact model. And we can't guarantee to sell everything for that much less every time, but here at Billingsley, we're going to try. That's why a rancher from Raw 50 miles away and a construction worker from Irving, Texas 110 miles away came all the way to Ardmore to buy from Billingsley Truck Center. So before you buy theirs, price ours. That's all we ask. Billingsley Truck Center, Highway 70 West and Plainview Road here in Ardmore.
Tired of looking for a mechanic that will get the job done without taking you for a ride? Well, look no further than the Ardmore Auto Clinic, located at 1118 North Washington in Ardmore. ASE certified technicians use the latest in automotive technology to ensure top quality work on today's high-tech autos. And besides being the leader in transmission repair, Ardmore Auto Clinic offers everything from tune-ups to complete engine rebuilding. So if you want to get your car out of the shop and back on the road, stop by Ardmore Auto Clinic or call 223-4135.
It's Wednesday, May 19th. Here are some of the stories we're following this morning on NBC News at sunrise. Voters in Denmark approved the European Unity Treaty, but opponents react with violence in the streets of Copenhagen. Conservative Democrats threaten a Capitol Hill revolt against President Clinton's tax bill. And the government orders an 18-month moratorium on new construction of incinerators that burn toxic waste and threatens to shut down existing ones. Secretary of State Warren Christopher Tuesday called the war in Bosnia a problem from hell. He told a congressional committee the U.S. will continue pursuing a solution, but he said the U.S. will not use force to impose a settlement. Official results of the weekend referendum in Bosnia are expected today, but all signs point to an overwhelming thumbs down to the UN peace plan. Rick Davis has the latest on the complicated, often contradictory efforts to end the bloodshed.
There were 3 meetings in different parts of what was once Yugoslavia. Here in Split, the warring Croats and Muslims, once allies, agreed to stop killing each other. Lord Owen said they will work toward a coalition government for Bosnia. At another meeting in Pale between the UN's General Morion and the bosses of the Bosnian Serbs, it seemed it was time for the Vance-Owen plan to go back to the drawing board.
The peace process is not dead. The plan is dead because of the maps.
And then in Belgrade, the Russians got another lesson in the frustration of negotiating in the Balkans. Foreign Minister Kozarov wanted to begin implementing the Vance-Owen peace plan by putting Russian border guards between Serbia and Bosnia. How did the Serbs react to that?
We've discussed this idea, but they have their own process of decision-making.
In non-diplomatic language, that means forget it. So the Russians came and went, a little wiser in the ways of the Balkans, perhaps. So the 3 meetings ended with 1 win for Vance-Owen. But even the agreement between the Croats and the Muslims is just a piece of paper. Agreements have been signed before and ignored. Rick Davis, NBC News, Belgrade.
Back in this country, some officials in Texas are afraid of an all-out war if state lawmakers, as expected, approve a measure that would allow residents to carry concealed weapons. Dan Molina reports there are already plenty of high-fashion ways to pack a pistol.
Well, these are popular.
Purses with handy gun pouches, little pistol packs any jogger can strap on. Whatever the law, they've arrived.
The sales on the purses and fanny pack type things probably have doubled in the last year.
It's the most passionate of debates. Is carrying a gun a right, or is there an overriding responsibility to discourage people from carrying and using weapons? Stereotypes. A governor who's trying to transform Texas into a high-tech 21st century dynamo has no patience for the idea of mixing fashion and weapons.
I don't think it's gun-toting time anymore. It's time for Texas to get serious about who we are and who we're going to be in the future.
I think it's, tastefully done.
But the sales in any gun shop speak for themselves.
They're not going out there to shoot cars as they drive by or something. They just want to be able to protect themselves if they have to.
Polls show many share the governor's conviction that sometimes government must say no, enough. But on the other side is fear, a mighty motivator of citizens and the representatives they elect. Dan Molina for NBC News, Austin.
It's the last day to cash in on the airfare wars. A 35% reduction sale ends tonight, and most major airlines are hiking their rates back up by $10 to $20 on round-trip flights. Delta led the hikes last weekend. On the roads, Mercedes-Benz is recalling 14,000 cars to fix a problem that could lead to brake failure. The recall affects the 1990, 91, and 92 500 SL models. Mercedes has to replace a vacuum line in the brakes. In the skies over New Mexico, a page in history will be written today. Air Force Second Lieutenant Jeannie Flynn will begin training to become the country's first female combat fighter pilot. Well, just ahead, CNBC's Gail Buckner on the hazards of something called rent to own, and Joe Witte with the travel weather.
Sometimes if we find a quiet place, my son will actually confide in me.
Whirlpool believes a dishwasher should be seen and not heard.
A home should be a refuge from the noise and confusion of the world.
Whirlpool Quiet Wash Plus dishwashers clean quietly, yet powerfully, so life doesn't stop when your dishwasher starts.
I like to hear myself think. It's good for the soul.
Whirlpool, how to make a home run.
July in Yuma, Arizona. Average high temperature, 106 degrees.
Devilishly hot, that's what it is. It's just devilishly hot.
Anybody with money or sense, leaves town for the summer.
Me and my compa have a name for those people who don't have air conditioning.
Cocos!
Comfort Maker. Now that's a good air conditioner. You want to stay nice and cool? Well, get a Comfort Maker air conditioner.
When you want high-quality home comfort, ask for it by name. Comfort Maker.
Oh, I wish Bill were here. If something was to happen to his father,
He's flying back, Mom. He'll come straight to the hospital.
Excuse me, are you Mrs. Shannon?
Yes.
Your husband's stabilized. He's gonna be all right.
Oh, thank goodness.
We gotta let Bill know.
Across all 50 states, Canada, and the Caribbean, only Mobilecom can keep you close to the things you really care about. When you travel, be sure you know. Mobilecom, 1-800-795-5555.
See this? It won't make you smarter. When it was decided how smart you'd be, your credit limit didn't matter. You can't buy intelligence, okay? Well, maybe you could. I mean, no card is more accepted on the planet than MasterCard. So you could buy books and computers and chemistry sets, and that could make you smarter. And Master Values discounts can save you up to 25% at thousands of stores. And if that's not buying intelligence, at least it's buying intelligently. So maybe a MasterCard could make you smarter. We ought to get you on a quiz show. MasterCard. It's more than a credit card. It's smart money.
When it comes to making some large purchases, some consumers turn to so-called rent-to-own stores. CNBC's Gail Buckner says, let the renter beware. Good morning, Gail.
Good morning, Ann. Buyers as well.
So explain all of this. What is rent-to-own?
Well, often, Ann, it typically involves furniture and home appliances like television, stereos, and refrigerators.
But aren't there all kinds of consumer protection laws that would be protecting people in this kind of circumstance?
The problem is rent-to-own is neither fish nor fowl. It's not considered a credit purchase, and so you're not covered by the limitations on the interest rates you can be charged. It's not considered a lease purchase like you'd have with a car. Only about 30 states have limited controls on rent-to-own, and there are no government regulations.
What about these problems concerning interest rates that you just alluded to? How serious is the problem?
Well, it's pretty serious. $15 a week for a living room full of furniture doesn't sound like much at first, but it can really add up. There are documented cases where by the time they finish paying off this contract, people end up paying 300% interest. I'm talking about more than $1,000, for example, for a television set that if you bought it retail would cost about $350. A lot of times people say they just didn't understand the terms of the contract and thought they were getting a better deal than if they had bought it through retailers.
That's definitely something to think about. Now, there are no federal laws concerning rent-to-own right now. Are there any in the works?
Yes, the House Banking Committee is considering drafting legislation. In the meantime, though, rent-to-own really only makes sense if you are thinking about using something short-term, and even then you should know the terms of the contract and know how easy it is to cancel it. If you really think you want to own something, then buy it through a retailer. In most cases, you'll pay a lot less if you use layaway or even a credit card.
Right. All right. Gail Buckner this morning. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Time now for a look at that travel weather with Joe.
Yes, indeed. But first, let's take a look at the past winter. Numerous storms brought lots of moisture to California, ending their 6-year drought. But the Northwest was left high and dry, so the long-term water table is rather dry and low for western Washington, eastern Washington, also parts of Idaho and Montana. Moist conditions in the Corn Belt area. In fact, it's been too moist this spring to get in the corn plants very easily. Normal conditions for much of the rest of the country. Now, on today's weather map, the weather radar says, oh, we do have a band of rain stretching from the south all the way up the eastern seaboard. This will be a slow crawler, so traveling weather will be slow. Possible airport delays quite likely up and down the East Coast due to low ceilings, some fog, some light rain, occasional heavy rain, all the way from Boston, New York, Philadelphia, down to Raleigh, Durham, Atlanta, and Charleston. So expect some travel delays. Take that briefcase along with some working material inside. Travelers will find strong thunderstorms likely for parts of the Carolinas and also for the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma. Light showers again today for the Corn Belt area, and hot in the desert southwest. Phoenix going up to 101 and L.A. going up to 76. Do have a safe trip today. Ann?
All right, thanks a lot, Joe, for the heads up. Well, it's not like the Charles and Diana wedding frenzy years ago, but in Japan, there's some fashion excitement over the June wedding of diplomat Masako Owada to the crown prince of her dreams, Naruhito. And one designer wouldn't mind seeing Owada decked out in this little number. Lingerie designer Triumph calls it the super luxurious wedding dress. The silk frock is also available in purple as well as a traditional white. The asking price just under $140,000. It's Wednesday, May 19th. I'm Ann Curry. This is NBC News at sunrise.
Later this morning on Today, resident barflies George Wendt and John Ratzenberger of Cheer.
And we'll go on tour with Paul McCartney, so join us later this morning.
And see what a difference today makes.
Hi there, Mr. Finger here at Hudson Furniture Nada. Need a new bedroom suit? Mr. Finger says, check this one out. This bedroom suit comes in 3 good-looking garden oak finishes at Hudson's, and it's bargain priced at only $399 for all 4 pieces. The 60-inch door dresser, mirror, 2-drawer nightstand, and fuller queen-size headboard. That's right, only $399 for all 4 pieces. Pay nothing down and as little as $23 a month at Hudson Furniture, 713 West Main in Ada.
Part of the K10 News team, Sahar Deary, because it matters.
China's status as one of America's most favored trading partners is on the line again. As he considers extending the trade status, Secretary of State Warren Christopher says he's concerned about China's policies of illegal arms sales and forced birth control. Well, this morning, Bob Kerr takes another look at another violation by China, prison labor.
For 19 years, Harry Wu was a political prisoner in China. He's tried to convince the American government that much of what China exports to the U.S. is made by prison inmates. Wu's findings, which he put into a report, were endorsed by 3 members of Congress.
Whether the Chinese government is making $100 million or $1 exporting these goods, it is immoral for the United States to prop up this inhumane system.
China has promised not to export prison-made goods to the U.S., but Wu and the lawmakers say these hoists were sold in this country by an American company. U.S. law bans the import of goods made by forced labor. When confronted with the allegation, the president of the Columbus McKinnon Corporation first denied it.
Well, I don't think they would be, A, telling the truth, and B,
Later, he seemed less sure.
no sign of guard, there's no sign of any forced presence.
Do you think the Chinese could be somehow fooling you on this?
They could possibly be fooling me, yes.
Lads showed us photographs from his visit to the Chinese factory. Each worker's head was shaved, and they wore what appeared to be uniforms. Clothing Harry Wu says is worn by Chinese prisoners. Wu has gathered evidence that he says proves that the Chinese factory Ladd's company deals with is, in reality, a prison.
If you cannot complete your quota, you got a trouble. They will remove your food and torture you, put into solid confinement to punish you.
His report says China not only sells us chain hoists, but a variety of items made by prisoners in forced labor. Rubber-soled shoes, boots, kitchenware, toys, tools, and sporting goods. Things Americans use every day. Harry Wu says hundreds of thousands of political prisoners work in these factories.
Well, I don't care what kind of business you want to do, but please don't buy the blood. Don't buy the tears.
Bob Kerr, NBC News at the Capitol.
That's NBC News at Sunrise for this Wednesday morning. I'm Ann Curry, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Concerned. Dedicated. Georgianne Limberopoulos, K10 News at 6 and 10 weeknights. It matters.
Hi there, Mr. Finger here at Hudson Furniture in Ada. Need a new bedroom suit? Mr. Finger says, check this one out. This bedroom suit comes in 3 good-looking garden oak finishes at Hudson's, and it's bargain priced at only $399 for all 4 pieces. The 60-inch door dresser, mirror, 2-drawer nightstand, and fuller queen-size headboard. That's right, only $399 for all 4 pieces. Pay nothing down and as little as $23 a month at Hudson Furniture, 713 West Main in Ada.
Get set for outdoor summer fun with a new travel trailer, fold-down, or camper shell from Idle Time RV in Allen, Oklahoma. See our new Idle Time line of compact travel trailers and fifth wheels. They're specially designed for easy towing behind small pickups and vans. Or choose from our large selection of Prowler fifth wheels and travel trailers and StarCraft fold-down tent trailers. And right now, Jason fiberglass camper shells are priced from $4.99. Aluminum camper shells from $2.99. Only at Idle Time RV Sales and Service in Allen, Oklahoma.
Georgianne Limberopoulos, K10 News, 6 and 10 weeknights. It matters.